Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Wealth Hub IQ. Today we're talking about young adults and financial planning. 5 essential financial goals to achieve before you hit 30 years old. And the reason why there's a necessity here, the reason why this is so important to hit in your 20s is because your 20s are your pivotal years. That's when you can be the most rigorous, the most hardest on yourself as well. Because during your 20s, that allows you to see how your 30s and 40s are going to be. So are you going to continue to remain to be that 20-year-old or in your 20s that comes home from your 9 to 5, does nothing, jumps on Amazon Prime or Netflix and does nothing else for the rest of the day? Or are you going to make each and every day count by working on a particular skill or working on an investment that's going to pay off in the future? Let's talk about the 5 essential financial goals you should aim to achieve before you hit the big 3-0. Goal number 1, build an emergency fund. An emergency fund is in the name. It's literally an emergency amount of money which you can pull out from your savings account or any account that you may have so that you can prepare yourself for unexpected things that occur during the course of a year, a month, a week, whenever. So the importance of this is specifically to ensure that if any huge financial burden was to come about, then you are well prepared by having that emergency fund, so that if anything happens, for example, another COVID-19 happens, another pandemic, or your car breaks down, or a massive medical bill you have to pay out comes, that emergency fund should be the buffer so that you don't feel it as much. So why is this an essential goal to hit in your 20s before you hit 30? Well, the main reason why is because as you hit 30, you have even larger financial responsibilities, whether that's a mortgage, whether that's children, whether that's even caring for your parents at a much later age. Creating that buffer in your 20s allows you to weather those storms. So if you ask yourself, what is an emergency fund for you? Well, emergency fund for you can be 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses is normally a common target. But to be specific, the way I like to look at it is like this. If you have 6 months paychecks, so 6 months worth of your paychecks, worth of your gross paychecks, or you have 3 months worth of expenses. Either one, whichever one works for you. So 6 months worth of paychecks for your gross pay, or you've been able to save up 3 months worth of expenses. So in order to actually build an emergency fund, there's certain strategies that you can go about. One of them is budgeting. So doing your due diligence and budgeting exactly how much you receive, how much is a realistic expectation to set aside towards your savings, towards your emergency fund, whether that be 10% of your salary, whether that be 20%, however much you can actually put aside. Second strategy is also to reduce your expenses. This is very much something that you need to learn in your 20s, because the larger your expenses continue to be in your 20s through to your 30s, they're just going to continue to grow. Whereas if you can keep away from going into trends and spirals, then you'll realize that the amount you're able to reduce in your 20s, if you use that money, for example, towards an emergency fund or towards investments, you'll see how much that money can continue to compound. Another example to build your emergency fund could also be side businesses. If there's already a side business that you've got, you could leverage the money from that or take the money out from the side business into the emergency fund. Goal number 2, managing the debt monster. So high interest debt can sometimes keep you feeling like you're drowning underwater. So one of the main things you should worry about in your 20s is paying off any large debts that you have. Whether that be car payments, whether that be student loans, anything that's creating headache for you every single time that you open your banking account and you see this large payments coming out. A rule of thumb, get rid of it as soon as you can so that you don't have to continue worrying about this burden. Any high interest debt, get rid of it. I would strongly recommend you to actually prioritize paying off any high interest debt you have first before anything else. And that will allow you to have a free mind, a free landscape of what you want to do with your financial situation next. The dangers of not clearing off your high interest debt is if any repayments come back and you actually fail to keep up any of the payments, they can really be catastrophic for later on down the line when you want to apply for any type of mortgage or any finance or any loan option. So we want to make sure that we clear off all high interest debts as soon as possible. So a top tip that I have here is, if you haven't already, create some type of repayment plan, whether that be the high interest debt payment is coming out of one of your bank accounts, you want to set up a standing order from your main current account to that account, so that on a monthly basis you don't even see the money coming out. It's just it automatically goes from one account to the other account, and from the other account is where the high interest debt is actually coming out from. I'd strongly recommend this. Set up a payment plan as soon as possible so that you can avoid further debt. Goal number 3, a no-brainer: start saving for retirement, even if it seems far away. So through the power of compounding interest, we understand that £1 that we've got today, if we continue to pile it up and then until it hits £2, once it hits £2 or $2, we're now earning interest off of the £2 and not just the £1. That is the most simplest version of compound interest. And the reason why saving now for your retirement means that by the time you reach your retirement age, through compounding interest, you would have been able to accumulate so much more money. Made a video about this in the past, so please do take a look at that video. But I cannot stress the importance of saving as early as possible for your retirement fund, so that you can make sure that you have as much as possible to spend during your retirement years. And I mean, just to be clear here, when I say during your retirement years, that doesn't necessarily mean when you're a pensioner or you're plus 70 years old or 65, depending on the country that you're coming from. You can retire early. Pension does not necessarily mean that you're only eligible to take a pension out at a specific age. If you save well through compounding, through making smart financial decisions, say you're able to retire at 50 years old or 40 years old, which would be a dream for many people, then you can enjoy the fruits of your labor, all of the hard work that you've done in your 20s, all the way up until you hit 40 years old. And now 40, you're just resting on a beach in Barbados with your feet up, sipping pina coladas. So regarding retirement and pensions, I definitely advise you to do as much research as possible so that you can find out which option best suits you, as every single situation is case by case and based on your individual profile. However, what I would say is definitely explore the different retirement options that are currently available to you. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you're in a 9-to-5, your employer may match your contribution. Take advantage of that. That is free money at the end of the day. Or a lifetime ISA, which means that at the end of the ISA, if you want to withdraw money, you can either withdraw it for a property or you could either withdraw it for retirement, and you would actually get a bonus on the money that you've put in throughout the time of that ISA. So explore these different retirement options, these different pension options, these long-term investing options, so that you can decide which one suits you the best. Goal number 4 is to build your credit score. So when you're young, either you're in school, you're in college, you may not understand the importance of having good credit. In fact, it might just be something that you don't even think about, or potentially you don't even know about. But good credit is absolutely critical for securing future loans and future mortgages that you may have or may want to have in the future. What do I mean by this exactly? Well, put short, a bank will assess you based on your credit score, which is ultimately like your lending profile. If you're eligible for a loan of some type, so that could be a future loan, let's say a bank loan or a mortgage, they will make that assessment based on your credit score. And now the T-Mobile or the Vodafone or the eSIM that you weren't paying for, or phone you weren't paying for back in year 11, that may come back to haunt you today. Now you're applying for your mortgage. So one thing I'll quickly say is actually take a look at your credit score rating right now. There's websites like Experian that do this. And once you've had a view of your credit score, make sure that there's nothing that isn't supposed to be there. We could have easily forgotten about that iPhone 11 subscription that we used to pay back in the day, that we just forgot about one payment and it's come back to bite us. So make sure you have an updated view of your credit score and your credit report. So in terms of tips of building your credit score, again, I'm not a financial advisor, but things that have worked for me are paying the bills on time and utilizing credit cards responsibly. So why exactly do you want to build this up in your 20s before you hit 30? Well, you want to do it because during your 20s, you want to have as many options as soon as you hit 30. So as soon as you hit 30 years old, for example, say you want to take out a loan to rebuild a house or to buy a car or for a mortgage, you want to have a plethora of different options so that they're all at your disposal. You do not want to be limited to say you're only available for this option and that option out of 1,000 options. Imagine going to a bank and saying you're only available for 2 options out of 1,000 different options. You're going to be thinking in your head, why did I just shoot myself in the foot? Why didn't I sort this out earlier on in my life? Well, now is the chance to do so. Build your credit score in your 20s so that you've got more options as soon as you hit 30 for what you want to really do in life. Goal number 5, invest in yourself. It's so important to go beyond just financial investments. Financial investments are fantastic to allow you to gain, a lifestyle that you never had before, or allow you to gain the material things that you once wanted in your life. However, investing in education, skills and experiences allows you to unlock a certain side of your mind or your brain that you've never experienced before. And from here, you're able to really see what your purpose is. You're able to see what really excites you. You can just explore a lot more through investing in yourself, believing in yourself and investing in yourself. So why would I set investing in yourself as an essential financial goal to hit before you reach the age of 30? Well, the reason why is because if you're able to invest yourself, for example, in your 9 to 5, that means your career development is endless. You can advance yourself in your 9 to 5 career, either becoming a technical specialist, either becoming a manager or a senior manager or a head of a department so quickly, as long as you invest in yourself and believe in yourself. On the other side, the earning potential is much greater as well. If you continue to edify yourself, you continue to work on yourself, you're able to demand a much greater salary because you know far more. Imagine this, you go home from work and you continue to study for 2 hours every single day or every single weekday. You come back from work and you study for 2 hours per day, something related to your job role, as opposed to someone else who does the bare minimum at work. They go home, they watch Netflix, they eat 2 burgers, and then they go and sleep straight after that. So you can see your trajectory in life was going to be far greater than that other person in the example that I've just used there. Continue to develop this mindset, because I promise you, the crowd and your competition are probably not working as hard as you are, as long as you put in the consistency. So why do it in your 20s? Because you have the time, because you have the concentration, the dedication, and the resources to do so. So cultivate this mindset in your 20s so that you can have a fruitful 30s and 40s. So to recap the 5 essential financial goals to hit before you're 30. Goal number 1, build an emergency fund. Goal number 2, manage the debt monster. Goal number 3, start saving for your retirement as early as possible. Goal number 4 was to build your credit, and goal number 5 was to invest in yourself every single day. So I encourage you to not just listen to this video or watch this video, but instead to actually begin one of these 5 goals that I have set. Begin it today and watch how it unfolds for your financial future. Thanks for watching, and subscribe for more financial tips.